Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to build on what we talked about yesterday. So the first thing is we're going to talk about translations in the coordinate plane. And so when we talk about translations in the coordinate plane, we talk about it this way, where the plus a tells us how much left or right something moves, and the plus b here tells us the up or down. Okay, and that corresponds with the x-axis and the y-axis. The x-axis is horizontal and runs left to right. The y-axis is vertical and runs up and down. So what we're going to do is we're going to graph this point, and if you have graph paper, great. For a lot of this today, you're going to need it. If not, just follow along with me. So we're going to graph the point B, which is at 3, -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's B. And then what we want to do is translate it left 5 and up 7. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're going to call that B prime. Okay? And so we know that this point now is -2, +3. And so if we look, from 3 to -2 is left 5, or subtracting 5. So the rule here would be -5, x minus 5. And then up 7, it went from being here at -4 to being up here at +3. So there's been 7 added, and so it's +7. So like if you're subtracting here, that's going to be to the left. If you're adding here, that's to the right. If you're adding here, that's up. If you're subtracting, that would be down. Okay, so this one here, we would be able to write, so to go from 2 to 0, it would be -2, so x minus 2. And from 1 to -4 would be -5. So y minus 5. And using that rule, we can say, oh, okay, minus in the x is left, so it's going to be going left 2. And then minus here in the y direction is going to be down, so down 5. Okay, so we're going to write a rule to describe the translation between PQRS and P prime, Q prime, R prime, S prime. So this is the pre-image, P, and P prime is the image, and we only really need to look at one vertice. So from P to P prime, it's going over 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So again, that's going to be subtract, so x minus 4. And then it's going up 1, so it's going to be y plus 1. Okay, so it's left 4, up 1. Okay. All right. So then we're going to talk about reflections on the coordinate plane. Okay, so translation is one that we're focusing on. Reflections are also important, and so we're going to reflect the point L, -2, 5, so -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so this is L, and we're going to reflect it over the y-axis. And so remember, when we're talking reflections, it needs to be the same distance in the opposite direction. So this is 2 spaces away, and so we're going to stay on that line and go 2 spaces away, and so this is L prime. And so L prime, the points are 2, 5. So if you can see here, this went from being -2 to +2 in the x coordinate. So it's the opposite. So we're going to say -x, because that means to change the sign. And then we're going to, with the 5, that stays the same. So we're just going to write comma y, because that number that y is does not change. Okay? So if we're looking here now at y, we're going to try and figure out what line we're reflecting over, knowing that the point is going to be the same distance from the line as the image. So the pre-image is going to be the same distance away from the line as the image. So 3, 3, well, I should probably erase here because this is a lot going on. Okay, so we're going to go back here and do 3, 3 for L, or for y. Okay, and then y prime is at -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what I'm going to do to figure out which the line of reflection is I'm going to say, oh, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces apart. Okay, so then this line right here would be 4 spaces here and 4 spaces here, and that's what we're looking for, is equal distant. Okay, and so this line here is x equals -1. Okay, so the line that it's reflected across is x equals -1 because that's the line that is the same distance and same direction from both of those points. Okay, now we're going to move on to a rotation. Okay, rotations are the hardest ones, and I feel like in person these are hard, and it's even harder doing these online. So please, if you get stuck on any of these, let me know and I can help you and we can go through some more. Okay, but we're going to take this point, oops, sorry, no, it's -2, -3. -2, -3. P. And we're going to rotate it 180 degrees about the origin. Okay, and so like we talked about yesterday, that when you rotate 180 degrees, it doesn't matter if we're going clockwise or counterclockwise. But what I actually like to do is count, like, okay, from the origin, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And so if I rotated it 90 degrees, and let's just say we're going clockwise, it would be the same on this axis. So I would start here and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And so that's where it would be after 90 degrees. And then if I rotated it another 90 degrees, I'm going to start and go on the next axis, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And this is where P prime is actually going to end up, where I started graphing incorrectly at the beginning. Because it's 2 90-degree rotations. And you could do that this way as well. You could say, okay, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and that would be 90. And then do that again up here on this axis, and that would get you there. Okay. I am a big believer in tracing paper, and if you have tracing paper and that's helpful to you, you should definitely use that. Okay. So now we find the image P prime at 2, 3. All right. Now we're going to write the rule. So what happened to both of these numbers? Well, they both became the opposite. So even though they're going from being negative to positive, when we write a rule and we say -x, -y, that means the opposite of both of those. And so whenever you rotate 180 degrees, that's going to be the rule. It's going to be the opposite of both numbers as long as you're rotating around the origin. Okay? So we're going to find the image of z, which is 1, -4. So this is z, after being rotated 270 degrees clockwise about the origin. Okay, so 270 degrees is 3 quarter turns, or 3 90-degree turns about the origin. So I'm going to start here and just, again, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And so then I'm going to do the same thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and so that's 1 turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's 2 quarter turns, so that would be 180 degrees. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And so this is going to be our 270 degrees image of z. Z prime is our new point, and it's at the point 4, 1. Okay. The other thing I want to point out is 270 degrees clockwise is the same as 90 degrees counterclockwise. So I could also just go this direction instead of going all the way around 3/4 of a turn that way. I could go 90 degrees this way to find that same point. Okay, but now we're going to look at what happened to those numbers. Okay, so from our original z, we notice that there is a 1 here, right? That's the x coordinate, and then in z prime, that 1 becomes the y coordinate. So we're going to say you take the x and you make it the y. Okay, so that's going to be there. And then this 4, this -4, becomes +4, and it goes into the place of the x. So it's going to be the opposite of whatever y was. Okay, I'm not expecting you to memorize these rules that we're writing, but you do have to be able to write them and identify how those numbers are related. Okay, so we are going to do a couple of translations and reflections, and then try to come up with one movement that would get us the same thing, okay? So we're going to start with P as negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3. So this is P, this is our original, that's our pre-image, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to move this, and we're going to call this one P prime, we're going to call this one P double prime, and we're going to call this one P triple prime, okay? Just so we know, we could call them Q, R, and S as well. Actually, let's do that instead. So yes, we're going to call them Q, R, and S. Okay, so the first one we're going to translate plus 4 in the x direction, so that's to the right 4, and then down 1 in the y direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 1. So this would be point Q. Okay, and we're going to use the same pre-image for all 3 of these. And so this is a reflection over the line y equals negative 2. Now you have to be very careful here, and remember this is a horizontal line, not vertical. So when we reflect over the line y equals negative 2, that's where y equals negative 2 is right here on the y-axis, and so it's this whole line right here, and that's going to be our line of reflection. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces away, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces away, and this is going to be point R. Okay? And then if we want to show an example of a 270-degree rotation about the origin, and I want to point something out here, there is no direction specified, and so we always want to go clockwise if there's not a direction specified. So we're going to go 270 degrees clockwise about the origin. Okay, so I'm going to pick this axis and say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3 spaces away. So now I'm going to go clockwise 3/4 turns, because that's 3/4 of a circle, 270 degrees. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. It's 1/4 turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3. That's another quarter turn. And then we're going to do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. And so this is going to be point S, and that's a 270-degree rotation. Okay? All right. Last one, and this is when we're going to do some composition here. So we're going to do more than one thing and then talk about how this can all be represented by one translation. So if we have this point right here, and we're going to go negative 1, so that's going to be back 1 in the x direction, so to the left, and then up 2, that's going to get us this point right here. We'll call it P prime. Okay, so this is going to be P prime. And then from this P prime, we're going to go plus 3 in the x direction, so 1, 2, 3, and then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and that is going to give us P double prime. Okay, so we did 2 separate translations to get that. What is one translation that could be done to get from P to P double prime in one movement? Well, that would be to go 1, 2 in the x direction and 1, 2, 3 in the y direction down. So it would be x plus 2 and y minus 3. Okay, and so this is the composition of those 2 translations. Okay, I would like you to try this one, pause your screen, and then I will have the answer up in a moment. Okay, so this is what your graph should look like after you've translated, reflected, and then rotated 180 degrees. And x triple prime should be at 3, negative 5. Okay, that was a lot, and it was relatively quick because I had to fit it in 15 minutes. Please, please, please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to go through anything you need. Have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.